Welcome to the Sports Booth YouTube channel. Today, a very special video. We are looking at the Flying Fijians, not the Fijian Drua, but the Flying Fijians, and looking into what their 2023 Rugby World Cup squad could be. Now, as I've collected all the information and finally put together my team and some of the designs and everything like that, the Fijians go and drop a 5-man squad for the build-up for the World Cup. I've made one change since then, based off what they've selected. I'm not 100% sure if everyone from I'm going to select today has made the team in this 45 squad, but most of them were in when I was looking and cross-checking. So this is really more, my opinion, looking at all the squads, looking at the players, looking at their form over the past 4 years, what this Flying Fijian team could look like. Now, I will preface this video by saying I'm based out of Australia, see most of the Fijian rugby players coming out of the Drua rather than the European-based ones. So my knowledge for the Drua-based players is a lot higher, so there may be a couple of selections where I've picked based off that and left some European-based players out. So just go easy on me a little bit with that if I have left someone out because of that reason, just because of the footy I've been able to see compared to the footy I haven't been able to see. Second little asterisk, obviously the pronunciation of names isn't going to be perfect. I've tried to find pronunciations of each name, and I will try my best to pronounce each name out of respect and everything like that. However, I will bottle some. There'll be some that are wrong. There's no doubt about it. I do not mean any offence by this. Just trying my best out here. If there's ways I can improve it, if there's some names I'm totally butchering, let me know. So let's start off by firstly looking into the Fijian team, I guess, and the pool they are in. Fiji are in Pool C with Wales, Australia, Georgia, and Portugal. So obviously the Welsh are, I would say, in a slight crisis at the moment. Got Gatlin in charge, but the team's falling apart. We've had players dropping out of the squad already and is lacking a little bit of direction at the moment. So they're up for the pickings. Australia, obviously, off the back of sacking Dave Rennie and bringing in Eddie Jones. We really don't know what they are. Australia can be up and down. Again, not probably the strongest Australian team, but with Eddie Jones at the helm, you just never know. You've then got Georgia, who are very similar in rankings with Fiji. I think Georgia are 11th at the moment, Fiji 13, which I think will be a fascinating battle. Two very different styles will go at each other in that game. And then finally Portugal, they're the big outsiders. So really in this group, Fiji, with the talent that they've got, can definitely make some headway in this competition and surprise one of those top two teams in Wales and Australia and head into potentially the quarterfinals and further on. So starting with the hookers, the front row, we're going to get straight into it with the big boys up front. In the hookers spot, I have gone with Mesu Dolokoto. We then have Tavita Ikanavere, and finally Sam Matavesi. Dolokoto and Ikanavere both currently play for the Fijian Drua and have won up to this date 11 caps and 4 caps respectively for the Flying Fijians. I think they'll look with the form that Ikanavere is in, and it'll be too much not to start him, but I will run through my starting team soon. Matavesi is from the Northampton Saints, has about 20 plus caps to his name, so an easy selection really there. Into the props, where we have 3 Fijian Drua props selected. The first one is Haretet Hetet, the second one is Samu Tawake, and lastly we have Manasseh Solo. So all 3 play for the Drua, and Solo actually has over 50 caps for the Flying Fijians, and so will be a stalwart of this team going into the World Cup. The other 3 prop selections, yes, I've selected 6 props for this team. Aroni Maui, who plays for Saracens over in England. We've got Penny Rave, which is the Queensland Reds player who recently came back from overseas to play for them. And lastly, Luke Tangai from the province over in the French League. So those make up our prop sectors. A strong contingent of Drua players with players based from overseas. And I think actually a strong point of this Fijian team. Into the locks. So we have 2 Fijian Drua locks selected into the Flying Fijians in my team. First one, Asawa Nasila Silla, And the second one is Ratu Rotosalia. Both under the age of 25, had limited caps for the Flying Fijians, but have really put their hands up in this Drua system, and can definitely, if they can take that form from the Drua into the Flying Fijians, will be big in this World Cup. The other two come from overseas, one being Api Ratuinoarawa from the London Irish, over 40 games, getting to the later years of his career at 36 years old currently. And then from Lyon, Timo Mayana Avananua is the other one out of the French league. Heading into the back row, and this was one of the hardest ones to select, looking at the depth that Fijian Drua have and the depth that Fiji has in this position. This, along with all the outside backs and centres, obviously the biggest strength for Fiji is those outside backs and centres, but the back row wasn't too far away. So I've selected 3 Fijian Drua back rowers, the first being Dedinalangi, the second being Josefa Tamani, and the third being Katoni Salawa. All 3 are quite young for this team. I think around the 25 years old. I think Melly's 24, Josefa's 26-ish, and Katoni is young, 22, 23. So all 3 of them are going to bring their form basically from what I've seen in Drua to the Flying Fijians. That's why I've selected them. None of them have many caps, of any caps, from what I could find. So I think, yeah, that what I'm doing with this team is obviously showing where I would select those Drua players who have obviously made a standout contribution, where I think all 3 of these players have. The other 3 spots are filled with experienced players and players who have played a lot for the Flying Fijians. So we've got Albert Tuisui, who plays for Gloucester in the URC, over 16 caps for the Flying Fijians at 29 years of age. We've then got Viliami Mata out of Edinburgh, 31 years of age and over 20 caps. And finally, the man, the star from La Rochelle, Vani Botia, can play 7, can play 12 or 13, starred for La Rochelle this season and previous 7s as a 7, and that's where we will be playing him. The halfbacks, I've only selected 2 because I think of the depth from the outsides. You're only going to probably play the 2 throughout the tournament. You'd obviously have one on injury stand cover. But I think the big players here, the 3 big ones, all come from the Fijian Drua. And the 2 I've selected are Frank the Tank Lamane. And then the second one is Penny Matawalu. I've just gone with him over Simone Kuravoli, just purely out of preference from what I've seen, the amount of games they've played for the Drua. But yeah, they'll be coming from the Drua straight into the Flying Fiji and those halfbacks. The first 5s were pretty easy for me. I think I'm taking the experienced head of Ben Volavola to head over with the team. I know him and Caleb Muntz were the 2 that were other 2 selected, other than the one who will be starting in my team, Titi Tilia. He has been fantastic for the Drua and deserves that spot at 10. It'll just be who's the backup. I've gone with Volavola. Into the centres we go, and this it was tough because of the depth they have at centres, and I've moved some players around and put players in different places. This is the 4 I'm selecting for the Flying Fijian centres. Obviously, Semi Radarada, easy in, can play centre or winger. The captain during the Nation Series last year, Waisia Nakalivu. I'm sure I'm butchering that one, but he playing for Toulon at the moment and was a standout in the series last year, captain the squad, as I said. 2 Drua players I've got making it are Kalaveti Rovorovo and Eosefe Masi. Masi, obviously, the breakthrough player just about of the year for the Drua, absolutely killing it. Will probably lead them into battle in the quarter-final today against the Crusaders. So those 2 have been playing out of their skins, both deserve positions in this team. And then we've got the outside / utilities. So we've got the wingers, fullbacks. I've also put Seti Tamanavalu in this group as well. So he's in this outsides. I've put him with the fullbacks. Just think of him as a utility. The other 2 fullbacks I've selected are Seta Tukuvui and Iliasa Drawasis. Drawasis plays for the Drua and has been fullback for most of the season, if not every game this season. So he'll slot into that role. And Seta is over in French League playing for Brive and is the only other kind of known fullback. And then I guess it just depends where they move all those other pieces with the electric wingers. So the wingers I have got are Vinyaya Habose, obviously made his mark last year with the Drua, and then headed over to Racing 92 after an incident. The second one I've got, who actually didn't get selected in this 45-man squad that I could see, is Manasseh Mateale. Now, I don't know if that was because he's injured at the moment, but I'm sure he was in there for the force, at least towards the end. So he was in there. He definitely played for the Flying Fijians last year in the Nations end-of-year tours. So I've got on him again. I think his form for the force can't be left out. Saya Toiava, obviously, from Leon, the man mountain / midget man, muscle man, whatever you want to call him, has to be in there. He can also play in the centres. Can't not have him. And then the 7-star Yuita Wanakolo has to go in there as well, playing for Toulon, ripping and tearing over there in France. So he has to go in there. Okay, now running through my team. The team I would select if Fiji was to make it to a World Cup final for tomorrow. Everyone was fit and healthy. At 1, I've gone with Pene Ravai from the Queensland Reds. At 2, Tavita Ikanavere from the Drua, has to be him. At 3, Manasseh Solo from the Fijian Drua. His experience you can't leave out. The first lock is Isoa Nasilasila from the Fijian Drua. I have also gone with Rata Noawai from the London Irish as my 2 starting locks. We get into the loosies, and this is really tough now. I will be honest with the fact that I probably haven't seen enough of Mata and Tuisu from Gloucester and Edinburgh to select them. So that's why I have gone at 6, Joseva Tamani. At 7, Lavani Botia. Finally at 8, Meli Dinanalagi. At 9, Frank the Tank Lamani has to be. He has been in outstanding form. 10, as I said before, Titi Talia has to be in there as well, in my opinion. I've then gone, and this might be slightly controversial, but this is the team I'm choosing. I think when you're playing as a Fijian team, you've got to build around that team. I know Naka Alivu, the centre, outside centre normally, who's the captain. I've moved him into 12 so I can start Masi at 13. Just his form is incredible. He'll break games open. It means I go to Radradra and Tuisava on the wing, which is just 2 of the best wingers. And then I've got Jurasis in fullback. So that's my starting 15 if I was to have there. A lot of really good players left out. Habose, Seta Tamanavalu, obviously former All Black, who dominated, especially really well during the Barbarians versus the World XP game most recently. I think he kind of comes off the bench. You can manoeuvre it any way you want, that starting 15. I just think this is the starting 15 I'd go with. There are probably a lot of players I've missed, a lot of players I didn't even know about. I didn't know how deep Fijian rugby was before this in certain positions, and how many players there was. You look at someone like Tavatavanua from Moana Pacifica, who's absolutely ripping up and can't even really get a look into that winger group. So yeah, look, it was an interesting process for me to go into a completely new team where all I've seen is one group of players playing, and had to do quite a bit of research on the other ones. And yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments who I mucked up. I know I'm going to have missed players or made wrong decisions, but I'd love to learn from those at least. If you did enjoy, please make sure to like and subscribe down below. For now, though, I've been Luke from the Sports Booth, working on my pronunciations forever, getting them right first time, never. Cheers. Thank you, guys.